Hello, everyone. Welcome to Astro Reader PH, and thanks for dropping by for some astrology. What a big week we've had. It looks like the astrology transits that we've been talking about the past weeks are right on track. For example, as Uranus went direct last January 19, we witnessed some liberating developments, just as we hoped for. We're now seeing some lifting of restrictions around the world, and based on astrology, these should just continue in the long run. Particularly as we draw closer to April, we'll see even more freedom. Though there could be other problems that come up during that time. Anyway, so that's what's happening in the big picture. In the short term, we still have some hurdles every now and then. For example, this week we may see some last minute challenges and power struggles. There may be some authorities who seem unable to let go of the power that they get from these control measures, no matter how unjust or unreasonable they may be. There could be a lot of red tape or bureaucracy going on this week. There could be a survival of the fittest type of energy. Just remember that the night is darkest before dawn. We may also have some heavy duties and responsibilities this week. We could experience some challenges, hardships, and delays. Karma will also be strong this week, both positive and negative returns. There will also be some calls to reopen businesses for the sake of the economy, to keep the current systems afloat. So this week, towards the end of January, we'll likely see the start of some reopenings for economic purposes. By the way, if you're a Capricorn or have strong Saturn placements, you'll likely be empowered this week. Anyway, let's go deeper into our updates. Fresh off the start of the week, we're just continuing the fight for freedom that began recently. Uranus just went direct, so we're gradually seeing some lifting of restrictions that will continue in the long run. Mercury is also still combust in Aquarius, and this is the explosive energy that's trying to reevaluate and criticize the control measures and restrictions that were enacted in the past weeks. This is also an explosive energy that can cause a lot of arguments about rationality, science, and reason. Mercury combust is also kind of bad for business, which is probably why we're seeing some market crashes now, like with Bitcoin. So, these energies are just continuing into the start of the week. Recently, some arguments may have been made to challenge the authorities. These arguments were likely relating to law, ethics, humanism, and reason, care of Sagittarius Mars and Aquarius Mercury. But some changes are coming, and this week, the ball is in the court of those in power. Now, you may have noticed that the title of this video has reference to the Star Wars film, The Empire Strikes Back. While I haven't watched that movie, at least as far as I remember, I'm keenly aware that the Galactic Empire, led by Darth Vader, is a great metaphor symbolizing the dark side of Saturnian energy. Saturn energy can be authoritarian, serious, professional, and ambitious. In its positive side, it's responsible, like a good leader. It fulfills its duties without need for validation. And in its shadow side, however, it can be merciless and ruthless, attention-seeking, power-hungry, and Machiavellian. It rules power structures, the systems that rule over us, the government, our parents, bosses, employers, or other authorities. So why am I rambling on about Saturn, you may ask? The reason is that there's going to be so much emphasis on Capricorn energy this week, and Saturn will be extremely empowered. After all, it rules Capricorn. Let me count the ways. As we speak now, we currently have Venus and Pluto both in Capricorn. So that makes 2 planets in Capricorn. On January 24, Mars enters Capricorn. This adds energy and power to those in authority. Mars in Capricorn is exalted, by the way, so this Mars is quite powerful. When Mars is empowered, there is strong masculine energy. If Saturn is patriarchy, Mars is masculinity. So there could be a dog-eat-dog energy now. Survival of the fittest type of energy. Mars also rules war, so we could see some significant military movements from this week onward. As we speak, there are some big movements with Russia. By the way, communism is an expression of Saturn energy: structured, authoritarian, strict, serious. So, anyway, with Mars, that makes three planets in Capricorn. Soon after this, on January 25, a T square forms between Moon in Scorpio, Uranus in Taurus, and Saturn in Aquarius' apex. So, Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, is hugely empowered. Next, on January 26, Mercury retrograde re enters Capricorn, coming back from Aquarius. That makes four planets in Capricorn. And finally, towards the end of the week, from January 29 to 31, the Moon enters Capricorn as well, placing five planets in Capricorn. While that is happening, Venus in Capricorn goes direct, which greatly empowers this Venus. During this time, Mercury also conjoins with Pluto. By the way, when we have three or more planets in one sign, such as in this case where we have five, we call it a stellium. So this one's a Capricorn stellium. But before we move on, I just want to invite you to please like and subscribe. Thanks. Okay, so what happens when we have an overload of Capricorn energy like that? Or when Saturn gets empowered like that? As I said, this will add a lot of power to those in authority: the government, bosses, employers, institutions, parents, and the like. After the past week or so, when people rose up to challenge them, maybe now they're kinda pushed to demonstrate their power this week. They might pull rank on their underlings. Regardless of how their subjects or subordinates may argue their case, they could resort to power trips. As for whether what they're doing is right or reasonable, they may no longer be concerned with questions like that. In fact, Sun will square Uranus towards the end of the week, which adds fuel to the fire. That is, the fire between the rulers and the ruled. So for sure, there will be some more clashes between authorities and their subjects this week. Don't worry though. As I said, this is a short-term thing. And in the long run, we are on our way to freer days. Though we could have some new challenges in the future. Anyway, with Saturn being extremely powerful, we could have our fair share of difficulties and delays this week too. We could have heavier duties and responsibilities. If we have some personal goals, we may not feel as successful as we'd like to be. Try not to kick yourself too hard, because these feelings of failure are normal. Sometimes I think that Saturn doesn't really want us to meet the goals that he sets for us. That those are just targets that we aren't meant to reach. And what really matters to Saturn is that we progress and get stronger, wiser. On the flip side, some of us may get some recognition for the fruits of past efforts, if we deserve it. And others may get ridicule or punishment for past wrongs as well. Saturn rules karma after all. So this week, we could get both positive or negative returns for our past deeds too. Good news is that there could be some restoration to the economy this week as the planets converge in Capricorn, an Earth sign. Venus is set to go direct on January 29 after all, following suit with Uranus. These are some positive developments for the economy, for money. Baby steps, but steps in the right direction. As Venus goes direct, we'll also feel a restoration of our enjoyment and pleasure in life. If we suffered in our romantic life recently, those issues may start resolving as well. If we feel dissatisfied with pleasures in life, like food, shopping, our possessions, and the like, we'll start finding some enjoyment from those things again. If we feel unattractive, we may start getting some confidence back as well. If you have significant placements in Libra and Taurus, you could feel some relief. And that's it. Thanks for watching the Astrology of the week of January 24 to 30 for all signs. Please like and subscribe if you like this. Thanks. Goodbye.